Vamos a ver, todos los seres humanos.
Other things being equal, all human beings, you, I, and every person anywhere in the universe in the past, present or future, try to achieve our ends as soon as possible. In other words, everyone values present goods more highly than future goods, other things being equal. However, the psychic intensity with which we value the present more than the future varies from one human being to another. In fact, even within the same person, time preference may vary depending on life circumstances, etc. Well, the fact that, relatively speaking, we all value the present more highly than the future, though we do so with different intensities, gives rise to numerous opportunities for mutually beneficial exchanges. Indeed, people with an extremely strong time preference, that is, people who value the present much more than the future, will be eager to make exchanges with other people who, though they undoubtedly place a higher value on the present than on the future, prefer the present with less intensity. If, relatively speaking, I value the present more than the future, but not much more, and in contrast, your preference for the present over the future is far more marked, then the possibility for a mutually beneficial exchange exists. What would that exchange consist of? Well, since you place a very high value on the present, you would be willing to supply me with a large quantity of future goods in exchange for a present good today. And, since I do not value the future as little as you do in comparison with the present, though I do prefer the present, I would say, well, under these circumstances, if you are going to give me so much in the form of future goods, then I come out ahead if I advance you present goods today, because my time preference is not as strong. Thus, many exchange opportunities arise. There is a very large group of people whose time preference is not very strong, and who therefore are willing to supply present goods today in exchange for slightly more in the form of future goods tomorrow. Those suppliers of present goods in exchange for a slightly larger quantity of future goods are called savers. A saver is anyone who gives up immediate consumption and so supplies present goods. To whom? To the demanders of present goods who have a very strong time preference. Those demanders of present goods are, for example, workers and owners of original factors of production who are involved in industrial production projects that will mature in a very distant future. The manufacture of cars, which we discussed, or of computers, etc. Remember our examples. And yet, these people have to eat today. They need clothes to wear today. They want to go to the movies today. They need to be advanced present goods today. So, some people, savers, are suppliers of present goods in exchange for future goods. The amount they have advanced plus an additional amount in the form of future goods. And other people, demanders, are workers, etc., people with a very urgent need for present goods today. Those who supply present goods are called savers. They are also called capitalists. They are people who do not consume all they produce. They forego immediate consumption and supply present goods. In society, a market called the time market emerges, in which certain people supply present goods in exchange for future goods plus a premium, and other people demand present goods and in return agree to pay a premium in the future. Those who demand present goods have a strong time preference, and they are willing to pay a high premium, one higher than that required by suppliers, and therefore mutual profit opportunities arise. As we know, in the different markets, the market price of goods is determined. In the shoe market, the price of shoes. In the car market, the price of cars, etc. And it is determined by a process driven by entrepreneurship, which tends to set the price between what we refer to as the subjective valuations of the marginal pairs. The price which emerges in the time market is called the interest rate, and at that rate, or market price, the quantity of present goods demanded tends to equal the quantity of present goods supplied by savers. The price which emerges in the time market is called the interest rate, and it somehow reflects the social rate of time preference. A market price or an interest rate is set, and at that rate or market price, the amount of present goods demanded tends to match the amount of present goods supplied by savers. So, take note. What is the interest rate? The interest rate is the market price of present goods in terms of future goods. Where is it determined? It is determined in the time market, the market in which certain people, those with a relatively weaker time preference, supply present goods, and other people, those with a relatively stronger time preference, demand them. The suppliers of present goods are those who save or forego immediate consumption. In terms of economic theory, we also call them capitalists. The image we usually have of capitalists is a stereotype. We generally picture a capitalist as a very successful business person, a millionaire. But that is not realistic. In fact, the largest portion of saving or present goods supplied comes from millions and millions of households, that is, middle-class or even lower middle-class families, who with hard work gradually build up their savings in a savings account, life insurance, a savings bank, or by setting up a fund to pay for their apartment, etc. So, take note, this does not correspond exactly with the image we have. Generally speaking, people from a variety of social classes save, and thus forego immediate consumption, to a greater or lesser extent, each according to his or her income level, in order to supply present goods. And who are the demanders of present goods? Well, the demanders are often large-scale entrepreneurs, for instance, who demand present goods for entrepreneurial projects and to hire workers. With one hand, entrepreneurs receive money from savers, and with the other, they hire workers, suppliers, owners of original productive factors, that is, natural resources, and owners of capital equipment, in order to combine all of these in a process of production with a view to obtaining a final consumer good in the future and selling it with a profit margin in the market. So, even if we picture a successful capitalist as a millionaire and a worker as the least wealthy person, in real life, capitalists and savers are often workers or households or families that save what they can, according to their income, and that, on an aggregate basis, provide a very large supply of present goods.